guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing a burning questions Q&A about what it's like being American in Australia. I'm going to be answering all of your guys' questions, so let's just get straight into it. The first question is, why did I move to Australia? I met my husband, who's originally from Sydney, and we decided to live in Australia. Next question, how long have you been in Australia and what do you still find the hardest to adjust to? I've been in Australia for almost 2 years now. What was the hardest thing for me to adjust to? Probably the hardest thing I had to adjust to was being on the other side of the car. Not necessarily driving on the other side of the road, because I picked that up pretty quickly, but being on the opposite side of the car, my brain just could not function with it. The next question is, do you have lots of beers in the shops? Yes. America definitely has a lot of beer and a lot of alcohol. It's actually also a lot cheaper and easier to find. It's pretty much sold at any grocery store or any gas station as well. The next question is, how come Americans spell mom instead of mum? I actually have no idea. Someone should Google this and leave the answer in the comments. What is it with most Americans having huge houses? Like, how can people afford them? Okay, well, honestly, the cost of living in America, depending on where you're located, is generally lower than Australia. Obviously, if you live in a big city like New York or in California, it can definitely get expensive, but overall, the living expense is much cheaper. For example, in Texas or even Florida, where I'm from, you can get a huge 3 to 5 bedroom house for definitely under $500,000. To get a decent house in Sydney, from what I've seen, you have to spend at least $1 million. To any American, that would sound crazy. If you're an American girl, get used to Nonapplicative tampons. This is actually so true, and it was definitely an adjustment. I'm sorry for the boys here, I'll leave out some graphic details, but let's just say it was quite the adjustment. How do you work in an Australian school, like from America to Australia, the process? So this was actually quite easy because I'm not an official teacher. I worked in the office and I did a lot of administrative functions. It was simply a matter of applying. I got the job and I did all the basic qualifications to ensure that I was qualified to work with and around children, and that was it. Oh, this one is good. Do Americans really microwave their water when they want to boil something? Yes, unfortunately the answer is yes. I personally have used a kettle pretty much my entire life. The only reason why I know other Americans microwave their water is I've seen countless friends do it. From the same person, they also ask, plus, do Americans really put mayo on bread? Do you mean like mayo on bread like in a sandwich, or just mayo on bread in general? Yes to sandwiches. Nobody I know ever puts mayo on bread and just eats it like that. We would only usually use like butter. Have you met any indigenous Australians before? Yes, I have. I really love seeing all the indigenous art and different small businesses and meeting all the people. I think it's such an amazingly beautiful culture. I actually have an indigenous American background. I'm part Native American, so for me it was really cool to meet the indigenous people here from Australia. Do you really need hall passes in school to go to the bathroom? Like, do your teachers really check or care if you are allowed to be in the hall? In larger schools, definitely. And if you get caught without it, you typically will get detention. I've gone to several small private schools where they didn't require hall passes, but they did have a sign in and out log. Next question. Do you ever get insulted for being American? Unfortunately, yes. Not all the time, but I definitely do get insulted. I had first moved to Australia and I was still kind of learning the hang of things. And I went to a coffee shop and I ordered a latte with extra milk. In America, if you ask for a latte with extra milk, they just add more milk and it will make the coffee taste weaker, right? So I asked that to the barista and they literally just did not understand me. And I was like, well, just add milk. And they're like, why? I'm like, well, because I want more milk in it. Like, I want the coffee taste lower. And she's like, so you want weak coffee? And I didn't know what that meant at the time. So I just said, no, I just want extra milk and it to be foamy. Classic American. Now I understand why she laughed at me. But at the time, I felt like really embarrassed because she made me feel like a complete and total idiot. And then she was like, are you American? And I'm like, yeah. And she was like, oh. And then everyone behind her started laughing. And I was like, am I in high school? Do you have chocolate eggs on Easter, or is that just on TV shows? Oh, we definitely have chocolate eggs. We have chocolate eggs, chocolate bunnies. We have these little sugar-coated marshmallows. Easter is a huge deal in America. We have massive Easter hunts with thousands of people in a certain area. So it is definitely a big deal. We pretty much go hard on any holiday. How did you learn that here we don't use names like freshman, sophomore, etc. and only use the year number? My first job when I got to Australia was actually working at a school, so I learned this quite easily. And actually, the way you refer to high school grades in Australia is actually a lot simpler. When I was growing up in America, you have to memorize exactly what freshman, sophomore, junior, senior meant and like which years it applied to. Whereas in Australia, you just keep it super simple, year 10, year 12, year... that's it. It just makes it a lot easier to understand. I'm after a bit of advice. Found some Pop-Tarts the other day. What's the best way to have them? Toaster or microwave? Definitely toaster. The toaster makes it a lot crispier. The microwave could actually end up making them kind of like soft and mushy. How do you feel about us having coins instead of notes? For example, $1 coins. Overall, I think the currency here makes a whole lot of sense. Is your husband Aussie, or did you guys move for work? My husband is Australian, but he is one big mixture. My husband is half Indonesian, half German, and then born and raised in Sydney, but he also did attend a lot of school in America. Can you give tips for Americans interested in moving to Australia? Number one tip is don't believe all of the stereotypes about Australia. Shrimp on the Barbie? Not a thing. No one drinks Fosters. Nobody rides kangaroos. Not true. That is all of the questions that I have for now. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Please take a second to hit subscribe down below. I will see you guys again very soon. Bye!